Tree biology, welcome back. In this episode, we're diving into tree biology, one of the most foundational domains on the Certified Arborist Exam, accounting for about 11% of the test. Tree biology shows up everywhere on the exam. Pruning decisions, diagnosis, risk assessment, and even construction impacts all trace back to how trees are built and how they function. By the end of this episode, you should be able to connect tree structure and tree function, and more importantly, recognize how the exam expects you to apply that knowledge in real-world scenarios. Let's start with tree anatomy, beginning underground. Roots. Roots anchor the tree, absorb water and nutrients, store energy, and conduct resources upward. A key exam concept here is that most absorbing roots are shallow, often located in the upper layers of soil where oxygen is available. If you see a question involving compaction, trenching, or grade change, think root damage first, even if the canopy symptoms appear later. Trunk, branches, twigs, and leaves. The trunk provides structural support and contains the vascular system, xylem and phloem. Xylem moves water and dissolved minerals upward. Phloem transports sugars produced during photosynthesis throughout the tree. Branches and twigs position leaves for light capture. Leaves are where photosynthesis occurs, converting light energy into chemical energy. A classic exam trap is confusing where energy is made versus where it's stored. Photosynthesis happens in the leaves, but energy is stored throughout the tree, especially in roots and woody tissues. Respiration, photosynthesis, and energy allocation. Trees photosynthesize to make sugars, but they also respire constantly, day and night, using oxygen to release energy from those sugars. On the exam, watch for questions about stress. If photosynthesis is reduced, say by defoliation or drought, but respiration continues, the tree begins burning stored energy. That's how decline spirals often start. Water movement in trees. Water uptake begins at the roots and moves upward through the xylem via transpiration, pull, cohesion, and adhesion. Exam questions often frame this around drought stress, root loss, or vascular damage. If water movement is disrupted, expect symptoms like wilting, scorch, or dieback, even if the soil appears wet. Tree form, growth habits, and development. Trees have predictable growth habits, architecture, and life stages. Juvenile, mature, and senescent. Management decisions change depending on stage. For example, pruning a young tree focuses on structure, while pruning a mature or veteran tree focuses on risk reduction and health preservation. This concept shows up frequently in scenario-based questions. Compartmentalization of decay in trees. CODIT explains how trees contain decay rather than heal wounds. Trees form internal boundaries to limit the spread of damage. On the exam, remember this. Trees don't heal, they seal. Large wounds, flush cuts, and improper pruning all increase the likelihood of decay spreading beyond those natural boundaries. Mechanical stress and response growth. Trees respond to mechanical stress, wind, load, lean, by adding wood where it's needed. This is called response growth. If you see asymmetrical growth, buttressing, or reaction wood in a question, the exam is testing your understanding of how trees adapt structurally over time. Tree life cycle and development. Trees grow vegetatively, reproduce sexually or asexually, and follow seasonal patterns known as phenology, dormancy, bud break, flowering, senescence. Propagation methods like cuttings, layering, and grafting are included to test your understanding of how trees are reproduced intentionally, especially in nursery and urban forestry contexts. The exam also covers tree death and decline, often described as a spiral rather than a single event. Multiple stresses compound over time, a key concept in diagnosis questions. Environmental adaptations matter too. You may see questions about desert trees, halophytes, or species adapted to flooding, focusing on how anatomy and physiology match the environment. Exam focus callouts. Here are patterns to watch for on test questions. Anatomy questions disguised as management scenarios. CODIT referenced indirectly through pruning outcomes. Water movement tied to root damage or soil conditions. Life stage used to justify different pruning or care recommendations. If a question asks why a tree responded a certain way, the answer is almost always rooted, literally, in tree biology. Rapid review summary. Let's lock this in. Trees absorb water and nutrients through shallow roots. Leaves make energy through photosynthesis. Respiration uses that energy continuously. Water moves upward through xylem, sugars move through phloem. Trees compartmentalize decay. They don't heal wounds. Mechanical stress leads to response growth. Management decisions depend on growth stage, structure, and physiology. If you understand how a tree functions, the correct exam answer usually becomes obvious. Tree biology is the backbone of the Certified Arborist Exam. If this domain feels solid, you're building a strong foundation for everything that follows. In the next episode, we'll move into tree identification and selection, where biology meets real-world decision-making. Thanks for listening to the Arborist podcast. Let's keep building your arborist knowledge one domain at a time.